What's up, guys? My name's Bre. Here with me, I have Marti and Andre.
Andre, Bre, and I are all sports broadcasts and journalism majors here at ASU.
This episode of our podcast is going to be a recapping of 4 pivotal games for the current Arizona State 2019 football season. So far, with the record of 7-5 and a team full of current freshmen, we are going to dive into stats, replays, and predictions for the upcoming 2020 season.
My favorite game this year was USC, even though we lost. My family was here because it was family weekend, and I think sports bring people together. My entire family went here, so to have everyone around and be able to experience the energy everyone had and the pride was such a fun atmosphere. Every year, we typically watch the game in the stadium, but this year we decided to watch them at the tailgates. It was so funny and cool to just see how everyone was super excited and upset, even because we did lose. But people have so much pride here, and it's just so much fun to be around. I definitely just think it was the most fun game to be at. But my favorite win would probably be Oregon because we really weren't supposed to win, and the fact that we did was so cool, and everyone rushed the field, and it was just one of the greatest moments, I think, this entire season. We'll get into those stats in a minute, though. Bre, what was your favorite game?
So coming into this season, I would have probably said I was looking forward to the U of A game the most, simply because of the intense rivalry and all that brings to the table. But now I would have to say my favorite game this year would also probably have to be the USC Family Weekend game. Kind of like you touched on, I think that the overall environment was just a lot more fun rather than just intense and dealing with the rivalry between the U of A students and then our students, whereas the Family Weekend game didn't have as much pressure on it. So I think everyone was actually able to enjoy themselves and relax and then enjoy having their families here since it was Family Weekend. I feel like when families come into play with it, the dads can get so intense into the games. And so I think it just brought a whole nother level of energy, and just the environment was overall more fun compared to like I said, the U of A game where people are just, they're angry and they want to win. And that's when students get into fights, and it's just a little bit more intense. While it's still fun, it's just a lot more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I had so much fun with my family that weekend, and the U of A game was also fun, but like you said, the whole rivalry, I just feel like students were constantly going back and forth between schools, but that game was so cool. Just rivalry games are just so cool here. Everyone gets so intense, and there was such a lead up the entire week, and I don't know, it was definitely one of my favorite ones as well. We just focused on kind of the environment rather than the score, at least for me.
Yeah, you said you also watched the Michigan game too, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually went to a watch party on Mill it's like a sports bar and food
Zips,
place.
Right?
Yeah, Zips.
Yeah.
And it was super fun. We all went and watched it, and it was just such a great atmosphere because we weren't supposed to win, but we did, and it was just so cool, especially winning there. Andre, what did you think of the game?
Yeah, I thought the Michigan State game was one of the more impressive games and performances by the team this season. It's a pretty low-scoring game. We only won 10-7. Like last year, we only won 16-13. So pretty low-scoring games the last couple years against Michigan State. Funny thing is that we have won both games against Michigan State in the last 2 years, with them being ranked and us not. And we've come out on top both times. I really think it's just the heart that our team has, especially on defense, which is both those games have been pretty defensive-minded games so far. I think the Michigan State game really it kind of showed us how good the team is on defense. Although the season didn't go kind of as planned and didn't really turn out like that game, I still think it was a pretty cool game, especially coming out on top against a ranked opponent in Week 3. So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
The next game that season that I think is pretty important would probably be Cal, right?
Yeah, the Cal game was a really important game also. Another team that we beat that was ranked, and we beat them up in Berkeley, so really important. When you go into really hostile environments like Cal, who are a really big football school, although they haven't really been as good as they have been in the past, the last couple of years. This season they actually started off really well. I think they were ranked 15th in the nation when we went up there and played them. So the fact that we also came out with a W in Berkeley was really cool. Also a defensive-minded game. Even though there was more points scored in that game than in the Michigan State game, we won 24-17. I really think, because we didn't play them last year, so I really think that it was a really pivotal game in the season. Yeah, our performance was better then than it has been the last couple of games, especially the last few. But yeah, that was a really fun game to watch. Yeah, it would have been cool to have gone up to Berkeley, but it was cool to watch it down here too. So
Do you think that we play our opponent's level? Because I feel like ASU kind of has a problem with that, or like we just go to like the level of our opponents.
the thing that I've noticed here is that every time we beat like a ranked opponent, and then we play a team that's not as good the next week, we always end up losing. So for example, like we beat Michigan State this year, and then the next week we played Colorado here at home and we lost. When that should have been that was a very winnable game for us, because of the fact we're a much more talented team than they were, and the fact that we lost, just like when we lost to UCLA this season after playing Washington State, which have been a great team the last couple seasons as well, and then going to LA and losing too. So I don't know. The football team here, they're good, they're really talented, but they have a problem winning the games that we should be winning and winning the games that we're not supposed to win, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean,
It does.
I know that we have a lot of freshmen on the team. Do you think that that has any impact on playing our level?
To be honest, I think the freshman class this year was really good. For example, Jane Daniels is a true freshman. The kid plays with no fear. So I really don't think that's the freshmen that are a problem. I just think that since a lot of the players, this is the first time they've played with each other. So I feel like getting those big game jitters has really affected them so far this season. And, to be honest, the Pac-12 is like a really competitive division and like league in college football. So people get kind of nervous, especially going to play away games. I think we play really well in Tempe. I think Tempe's one of the best home game environments in all the Pac-12. So I think that's really important. All the big games we've won have been at home. So I think it's more of a problem winning on the road.
I want to touch on something that you said when Marty asked about the freshmen. And you said that they're learning to play together. And I feel like that's a huge thing because, like, growing up playing sports, you can have, less skill than the person next to you. But if you know how to work with them and you know where their downfalls and, like, the things that they're better at, you know how to adapt to that and how to pick them up where they're not. And so I feel like with the freshmen doing so as well as they are doing now, I'm just excited to see kind of in the future seasons how they can actually play when they know how to play with each other.
Yeah, going off that, Oregon was probably the best example of this. We weren't supposed to win, and then we did, and it was crazy. Andre, what were the stats for that again?
So going into the game, Oregon was actually ranked number 6. So it was a pretty big game for Oregon to win, because if they would have won and one of the teams in the top 5 would have lost, they could have secured a top 5 spot. But, they came here and they didn't win. It was a really close game. We won 31-28, but we were up, I think, by 2 touchdowns at one point. And then in the fourth quarter, we kind of let them make a little bit of a comeback, but obviously not enough to win the game. And that was a crazy game. Just the environment in the stadium that game was unreal. I've never really been a part of a game with that kind of atmosphere, and unless last year, which was the blackout game, which was Michigan State and us here. So that was really cool. And I think that the fact that we came and performed the way we did, especially coming off of, I think, a 4-game losing streak. So that was really cool. And just like I said before, it was a game that we weren't supposed to win. And the fact that we did win, and especially since they were the number 6th ranked team in the nation, it just makes it all the more special.
Do you think that the new head coach has had anything to do with our ranking so far and how the team has played?
Yeah, for sure. I think since Herm Edwards got hired here, the dynamic of the program has really changed, especially, him bringing in ex-NFL coaches, players that are now coaches. For example, like Antonio Pierce, who used to be a head coach at Long Beach Poly, which is a high school powerhouse in California. Kevin Mawawi, bringing in Marvin Lewis as a special assistant. Marvin Lewis was one of the better coaches in the NFL for a few decades, for at least 2 decades. So the fact that he brought him in and all the coaches that he's brought in since he's been here, and the high level of recruits that he's been able to bring in, like Jaden Daniels, like Ethan Long, who is a freshman and he's a captain on the team already. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, I think for sure Herm Edwards he's doing good things for the program. I think we're on the way up as a program too. So
And the last game it was, I think that was pretty important, was U of A, right?
yeah, for sure, always. Every time you play the Territorial Cup, which is obviously a rivalry game against the team down south, U of A. We have been dominating the Territorial Cup in all sports since I've been at ASU. I think last year, obviously, we won, that was an awesome game. I think we were down by 27 points going into the fourth quarter, and we came back and beat them by 1. So that was really cool. That was a really cool game to be at as well. I honestly knew kind of going into the game that we were a better team than we were last year.
Yeah,
and that
U of A doesn't have a pretty hot ranking right
they're
now.
honestly very underperforming, especially since the fact that they have Kevin Sumlin as a head coach, who was the head coach at Texas A&M. He coached Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray, recruited all those players there, and he's really just been very underwhelming since he got to Tucson. But like I said, U of A is not as good as they were last year, and they're honestly kind of trash compared to how the program that they've been since I've been a kid. Having a lot of family that went to U of A and ASU, I know how important that this rivalry game is, not just for the players, but for the students, for the alumni, for everything. So
this is like our, third or fourth consecutive win
I'm pretty sure
against them?
I'm pretty sure it's the third, because we beat them last year, and then we beat them the year before in Tempe. So
Okay, yeah. I was at the game this year, and the overall environment was just overwhelming. Like, there was families there. There were people who, like, old alumni, all the students from U of A, ASU students. There was security everywhere, cops everywhere. Like, they take this game so seriously. And there was fights. There was, games like these can just get super rowdy.
Although we probably could have done better, I think we did a pretty great job this year. What are your predictions for next year, do you think?
well, I think we finished 7-5 this year, which is, it's obviously a winning record, but to be honest, it could have been way better. I could have seen us going 10-3, to be honest. A lot of the games that we lost this season were very close, and we honestly should have won, just like the Colorado game, the UCLA game. Those were like the two big ones that I think we should have won. Oregon State, too. Oregon State are one of the worst teams in the Pac-12 usually, and the fact that we went up to Corvallis and they beat us the way they did was really surprising. But, I think these kids are going to mature a lot over the offseason.
We have a lot of time to work on there.
Yeah, especially the freshmen,
Yeah.
I think we're pretty set player-wise. Jaden Daniels is going to be a stud, so I think we're pretty set at the quarterback position, and we have good backups.
Do you know of any, well-known incoming freshmen for next year, or is that kind of up in the air still?
Yeah, I know. Chad Johnson Jr., if you guys don't know who that is, his dad is Chad Ochocinco, he's definitely a Hall of Famer in the NFL. He's going to be here next year, so that's going to be pretty exciting.
That is huge.
I know we have a couple of other, 4- or 5-star recruits that are coming in from, I don't know if it's Georgia. It was somewhere from the East Coast and down from the South. But I think the most important part of the next season is going to be the returning players.
I agree.
So, Merlin Robinson, who's going to be a junior next year, linebacker. He's really important to the defense. And also, Chase Lucas is most likely going to be returning for his senior year. He's a great leader for the team, so that would be cool. And we honestly don't know if Eno Benjamin will come back for his senior year. Although he did perform well the last couple of years, we're just still waiting to see what his decision is. I don't know if he's going to make that after the bowl game, because we are bowl eligible this year. And we don't know where it's going to be yet, so should be pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to next season.
I think that from this point we can only get better, so I'm also looking forward to it.
I just wanted to thank everyone for listening to this week's episode, and
It's been a great year.
hope you guys learned a lot.
Thanks, guys.